How are y'all doing? Today we're talking about employment-based sponsorship. The three main red flags I love to share very often because most people miss them. Friends, welcome to greencardguys.tv. I'm your host, John Ting. I practice immigration law in all 50 states of America and across the world, helping you solve your immigration problem and maybe even preventing the problem from happening in the first place. Folks, Merry Christmas to those who celebrate it and happy holidays. Hope you all looking forward to, I'm sure you're looking forward to the new year, 2024. Can you believe it? It's just a few days away. So let's get down to it. Okay. Of course, you're welcome to ask any questions. Drop it in the comment section or chat box, and we'll get to them soon. But first, as I always do, I like to share top three tips of any topic of the day. We go live Monday through Friday, unless, of course, have a lot of meetings or there's a holiday and my family doesn't want me to work. So here's number one. Okay. It is almost January. So when that happens, you need to know that H-1B registration is coming up in March, the first 2 weeks of March. All right. And what that means is you have one chance to register, or I guess you can say apply. It's not really apply because it's just a couple questions. All right. But registering actually only costs $10 to the employer in March. So there's really no excuse. If you're in college right now and you're about to graduate in May, you actually still have a chance, okay? Because the end of the deadline to file the package itself is the end of June. So you actually don't have to in March, you don't have to provide a copy of your degree, you don't have to provide a copy of your transcript. So it's a wonderful thing. All right. The deadline used to be the first week of April, and no one knew if they were even selected, which didn't make sense. So finally USCIS got it together and realized, I'm hoping they realized on the employer side that, I hate to say, they were all wasting money before, but now it's much better because at least for us, we don't charge our normal fee just to register, right? If someone gets selected, then we charge the next milestone, basically. All right. So, but the first tip, really, I said a lot of tips just then, but the first tip is if you're a senior or you're about to graduate from college, or let's say your master's degree in May, right, for the spring semester, you could still be eligible, right? So even by March, you still could be in school, and that's completely okay. That is normal. So that's tip number one. All right. Tip number two: if you're in HR or you're like an employee, maybe you've been employed at least through like OPT with an employer, and the HR tells you, "Look, yeah, we're happy to sponsor you, but you need to find your own immigration lawyer." Of course, we're right here. But really, the tip is the job description. Okay, check in with the HR because it really can save you a lot of time. That's often one of the first tasks that we have to do, of course, is to check in with the HR and say, hey, is this is this the minimum qualifications? Because they cannot use preferred requirements and preferred qualifications, meaning if a job, typically industry standard for this job, let's say marketing, requires 5 years for a level one or even level two, that doesn't sound right, right? So it could be like 1 year experience, a 2 year experience for level one position. But if it's like a senior level, then of course, more years experience required. But I found that, and our legal team has found that most HR or employers have the preferred qualification in a job description, that you find online, which is completely understandable. But for immigration, it has to be minimum qualification. You basically they cannot make it too difficult. All right. It cannot cool off people, dissuade people from applying to that job. All right. The the third thing related to H-1B is that, well, let me go back. Let me slow it down a bit. I usually go a little too fast because I want to answer some questions. Going back to number two tip here. So if you are an employee or a candidate and you guys have a good vibe, so somehow you have the job description and somehow you can help them adjust it. A lot of our clients are actually um, have that kind of relationship, it seems, but that where this is really trustworthy because they often, especially smaller companies, will often depend on the applicants to be the point of contact. I don't know if that's always a good thing, by the way, because technically the client is the employer, but we understand HR, they're really busy with their own thing. That's not typically including immigration for a small business, but we need your help to review the job description. And ultimately, there's been a couple times we have to ask on our legal team, we have to ask the foreign national applicant, is this actually what you do? Because there's been a couple times, like because of the wording or something, it could be a little off than what it seems to be industry standard. So we just want to verify because we don't want to file something and it turns out like USCIS, like that's not typical. So even though they shouldn't get involved with the job description in that sense. But there's other thing you need to know about the job description. If it's pretty much foundational because it can affect the what we call prevailing wage, aka the salary. So um, if the job description says 5 years experience, then inherently the salary is going to be increased, right? So we really work with HR and companies to just fine tune it to make sure it's good to go. It's proper for the company and also, of course, for USCIS. No, and the thing is, we don't want to circumvent any laws, just comply with the law and do it properly. So it really requires constant communication with HR and employer. Now, the third thing you need to know, all right, that's not about H-1B, but it's about EB, employment based. Employment based, not talking about the visa bulletin where the green card visa is, ready, but it generally takes 2 years, folks, about 2 years. So it requires a lot of patience. It's typically people who are either in the US who have status right now, let's say like H-1B right now, or people who are abroad. So there's plenty of people that apply when they're abroad. Maybe they were here on OPT before, but had to leave because they were going to be, you don't want to overstay the visa. By the way, can you guys hear me okay? Because the mic is, I don't know if I need to like lift up the mic or not, but I hope you're all doing well. By the way, if you want to find out how to contact us, you can on TikTok, you go up here or down here. I think you follow and send us a DM. Okay, thanks, Geek Squad. Appreciate it. And then on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, you can see the phone number right up here. And one of our websites, our main website is greencardguys.com. And if you want to, the best way really is to fill out a form. If you have a chance to go to our website, let me see if I can find it here, show y'all. And for those folks on, okay. So here it is. You go to greencardguys.com, you go to contact us, scroll down for option 1 to verify now to see if you qualify for a consultation, strategy session at no cost to you. All right. And then our cares team will contact you or, you'll be in the meeting with them. Okay. You'll get the extra link for that. Not extra, but you'll get redirected. After you complete the form, you'll get redirected to that calendar. All right. Thanks, Tony. Appreciate it. Hello, Bella. Good to see you. Hey, Tony. Happy Merry Christmas to you. All right. Tip number 3. Just want to give a couple shout outs. But tip number 3. All right. In terms of EB, I just talked about it taking about 2 years process. It requires a lot of patience, right? So you do not want to overstay when you're going through the EB process in case your H-1B expires or some other visa expires. Now, and then find another way to come back in the meantime. But that was an extra tip. That was a bonus tip. What I really want to talk about, again, is the related to the job description is that if the company you've been working for, especially where you got like a substantially more of your experience of that position with the same company that's going to sponsor you, that could be a bad thing, okay? Because if, let's say, the job minimum requirement is 2 years, okay? And we verified it was okay, but you got 1 year, half of that, more than half of your experience for that position was through the same company, you're likely going to get denied. So that's why and you wouldn't find out about that until the end. Okay. Um, I think we call it like comparable or substantial tests. So that's something that I think most people don't talk about. And that's something now we verify in the very beginning, or maybe not the consultation, but you know, we try to. That would make sense, right? In consultation. But that's the thing. We need to know the job description, right? Which most people don't have when we have the consultation, and we know your resume. So it's two main things, right? So you provide us those two things, we're happy to take a look for you. But if you don't, then of course we can't verify that. So that's just a tip for y'all if you're wanting us to take a look. Um, and some people wonder, well, can we have that company still sponsor you anyway? And yeah, as long as they're willing to, and then yeah, you might have to switch gears. So say it politely. So that's something to consider. All right, now on to some questions. Thanks so much. Sorry, Instagram folks, just joined live. Hopefully, it looks like it's streaming just fine. Their mechanism, the little button to click start live is a bit funky. But anyways, anyone on LinkedIn ask some questions. Otherwise, I'm gonna drop off from LinkedIn. But if anyone on LinkedIn finds this video and want to have any questions, contact us at greencardguys.com, or welcome to give us a call right up here as well. Otherwise, let me remove this for now. Bye, LinkedIn folks. See ya. All right. Let's see here. All right. Which platform? All right, Bella, you have an individual hearing coming up. Okay, via the internet in New York. You have I-130 approval. Coming up when? Like January? In a couple weeks. So do you have a lawyer? I'm assuming you don't have a lawyer. So if anyone is in Bella's situation where you have a court hearing, assuming it's coming up soon, right? Now let's say in general, okay, and you have an I-130 pending or approved, you want to contact Department of Homeland Security, okay, and see if they would join your motion to dismiss. A motion, think of a motion. If you haven't heard the word motion before, it's basically a legal request for the judge to do something. So in this situation, it's to approve dismissal. All right. So dismissal is a good thing for court. I'm not saying dismissal for a USCIS case, that a judge would just make that decision to dismiss your court case. And the key thing here is because, hot tip that many people miss, okay? Even when Department of Homeland Security attorneys agree with you, or maybe they just email you directly and say, hey, we're going to agree to this. But do not assume it is the responsibility of Department of Homeland Security, DHS attorney, to file that motion for you, okay? So, and I say this because if you're in a better position than most people where, DHS attorney contacts you well in advance, let's say like 3 weeks or more before your court hearing, it's advantageous, especially for Bella, like you have an individual hearing, to file this motion to the judge as soon as you find out, because it would be a very bad thing if yes, of course, worst case scenario, you present it to the judge in person, or Bella, you said via internet individual hearing. That's interesting. But let's just say that you just don't you want to do things as soon as possible, right? If it's like 1 week before, maybe not, but or especially a couple of days before, it just makes sense to just show up in person, or unless you have it on internet, to mention that. And then if you just mention it in person, then or on the day of the hearing, for us immigration lawyers, we don't typically need to have a formal motion on paper, but for us, our team, TLG, Team Law Group, for us, it's best practices to have it on paper. Okay, so that way, for appeal purposes, for any reason, a judge is like, in the written decision, they didn't ask me this or that. At least we have on paper that we filed it. So yeah, we did request motion for dismissal, and the government lawyer agreed. But yeah, some people check the status online, EOIR, and they say, hey, what happened? How come DHS didn't file this, or how come it's not dismissed? And that's really because it's not their job. So that's why in our quotes, our invoices, it's really step one and step two. Step one is to contact DHS to get that agreement. Of course, present the case to them and why you deserve, why you're qualified for dismissal. And then if they agree, then step two is where you pay the last fee, and then we file the motion to the court. Okay, so hopefully that kind of gives you an idea. All right, you say February, Bella. Good luck to you. Let us know if we can help, or if you have any questions. All right, meme on YouTube, and then I'll get to TikTok real quick. You have a question regarding 485J. When you apply, does it have to be a permanent position? It has to be a bona fide position. So I'm assuming if I look at the dictionary right now, permanent would mean a bona fide. It really means, you know what? Let me not guess. Bona fide. It actually says genuine or real without intent to deceive. So, I mean, it doesn't really answer your question, but it has to be a bona fide position, okay? Which, in my opinion, means also permanent. It's not intended to be temporary, okay? But you don't have to. Oh, it's a contract role as a travel nurse. Well, yeah, that's. I haven't heard any issues about that. Um, you ask about USCIS having any issues it being a contract role. It really just has to be bona fide, because contract could also mean, hopefully that contract mentions how many hours, maybe not necessarily the like 8 to 5 or something, but how many hours in general. Okay. But you're far ways. You seem to be far ways if you're talking about down the line, if you're talking about 45J. All right. maybe you've ported or you're about to port, change to another employer. Okay. Hopefully it helps. But contracts in general, yeah, that's where, in some scenarios like this, we would get in touch with their employment lawyer to see, or we would um, share our insight on that. 36 hours and the contract is extendable and about to port. Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah, contract is extendable because my contracts with my team members are basically indefinite. So if someone wants to fire, or not, if we want to fire, or if they want to resign, but yeah, of course, temporary position like this, yeah, I would argue that it's permanent, but can be renewed essentially. All right, good luck. I mean, all right, Jorge, what's up? K1 visa, you're on TikTok. K1 visa or green card? What do I recommend here for her? So, first, congratulations, you found the right fit. At least we all hope you both did. And what's it called? I had a video I think last week or the topic was this, and in general we recommend marriage pathway, but it could be different for you. So if you want to, you're welcome to contact us. If you don't have our information, send us a DM. We'll share it, our team member will share it with you. Okay. By the way, folks, if you message me on any of these platforms, it's not always me responding. It's just literally impossible for me to respond to everyone. It's typically one of my team members, but sometimes I do respond. And I mean, I would hope you can tell like who's responding, even though I don't put my name below every time I do respond. But please take no offense when it's me. I try to go straight to the point to find out how I can help. So straight to cut to the chase, which I think y'all appreciate as well. Anyway, next question. Just a watch 2 on TikTok. You lost your green card. Can you still apply for citizenship without your physical card? I don't believe there's a rule against it. It's more about the rule of saying that if your residency expired, then that's when I really recommend renewing it. But the I-90 form takes a hell of a long time to process. I believe I checked last week, and I can't remember the exact one, but it took a long time. I think at least 12 months to replace it. Okay. But to renew, I think it was 5 months. But I know some people want to try to save the fees. So we've had plenty of clients, and we tell them like you can take the choice if you're still a resident. then you can take a choice if you want to replace it or not. But the rule, your policy manual technically says you have to have the physical card, or I mean, be unexpired status. But if you know you're going to want to travel within the next like year, I recommend replacing the resident travel abroad. I mean, okay, so you don't have any issues with TSA or the airports. What are the ways to get green card if you're on ESTA? Really married to a U.S. citizen. That's really the only way. Because ESTA. So a quick lesson here is ESTA and I-94 are similar in the sense that you only have a limited time period to be in the US, which is different than a visa. Okay. So ESTA, you don't need a visa, right? It's a visa waiver. That's a good thing. But when you come in, so ESTA, well, so let me put it this way: ESTA and visa gives you the right to come in. But customs, of course, going to say, hell no, you can't come in. Right. But they still, of course, I've never heard anyone not let in if they have that, unless it was the Trump first year of Trump. But so you come in, right? But that by itself doesn't allow you to stay the 10 years or whatever it is on your visa. It's the I-94. And the I-94 can be confusing when how long you stay or allowed to stay because it's online. It's not on your passport anymore. It's not, I mean, it is on your passport, but they're not required to give you the white little card anymore. They would just stamp it. So it's a key difference because you could be wondering, well, I got a 10-year visa, but my I-94, the stamp says like 2 months or 3 months. The default generally is 6 months, by the way. So long story short, to answer your question, I don't recommend apply. I mean, you could have a company apply for you, but you're not going to get the case completed before then. I mean, maybe L1 or another non-immigrant visa, but H1B, that's definitely not going to happen because first you got to get registered, aka lottery, and then that technically start date is October 1st for that, unless you qualify for like the cap exempt. So it's a long lesson. That's not geared for the live show. All right. But great question because the thing is, you definitely want to ask these questions, especially if you want to stay here to get, sponsorship, right? But at least, if anything, the person who asked the commenter about ESTA, maybe just use the time here in the US to find a company, to apply for jobs. I really recommend, of course, applying before you come here to the US. So then you set up those times to, if they want in person interviews or something. I think most employers I know, at least my law firm colleagues, I think most of them are virtual or hybrid, depending on the scenario. So hopefully it helps because you're right, you have limited time in the US. So you want to make sure you can capitalize on them, max out your time here. How to get an answer for PD? That's $1 million question. Rafa, if you find out the answer, let me know. I mean, we try our best in terms of, I mean, we everything we do, we think of the best interest of clients. So what that means is, are we going to email them, call them every single day? No, because we know they have pretty much, they're booked up every single day. All right, to have the government attorneys to have hearings pretty much every day. And if they're not at a hearing, they're working on cases, just like our office, right? So we usually email to follow up every couple months, especially now after the June 2022 Supreme Court 23 Supreme Court decision. We've been following up more frequently, and we don't follow up and say, "Hey, what the hell's going on?" We repeat the facts and why someone's eligible for PD. Prosecutorial discretion. But no, there's no magic button, I wish. All right, let's see here. Let's see. You have a N400 case being actively reviewed by USCIS. How long will the stage take? How long will the stage take? So, sorry, I was doing two things at once. The N400 case, So in general, when people are asking like, okay, USCIS online shows this active reviewed, how long will it take? It's no black and white timing. Okay, it's not to say like 1 month after that. Oh, you're gonna get your interview or decision. I wish that were the case to exactly know, but it doesn't. I really just think it's some kind of automated system. I just That's just my understanding. I don't have data on it, of course, to be honest, but I really think it's just sitting there, right? Doesn't literally mean you're actively reviewed for like 2 months. That just doesn't make sense. So, but for N400 in general, at least in 2023, the cases have been approved or scheduled and approved within like 3 to 5 months on average. At least our cases. We don't have clients from every single field office, so I can't guarantee that. But that's based on our experience. Now, folks, anything related to processing times in 2024, it's up for grabs. Okay, I don't know if it's going to be exactly the same time as 2023. That would be wonderful for y'all because a lot of y'all 45 adjustment status were able to get the interview waived, and that's a great thing for y'all. An Instagrammer asked, "Hey, how about marriage?" Um, what do you mean? What's up? Oh, a marriage case processing time. If that's what you mean, yeah, 3 to 5 months. Also, 3 to 5 months. But again, that's a 2023 trend for us. And that kicked off like literally the first week of January for us. I believe that was the first one in 2023. So hopefully it continues for y'all. We'll keep y'all updated how that goes. But we have a win Slack, like a Slack channel, and every time a client gets approved or something positive happens in the case, we can see the trend. So Messi, Emmanuel, yeah, we could chat. Well, you can chat with one of our cares team specialists first if you want. So, sorry, I'm looking like this way because of three screens technically. But yeah, you can DM us for our phone number. And you know what? Let me see. Instagram seemed to make it a little bit easier. Let me see if I can type it in. I hope I type in the right number. Yeah, I'll hold off until I can find the right number. I forget. how long? How long will it take for VAWA to get approved? Your friend applied since June 2021. You guys are so nice. You guys ask about each other's friends. You're asking for a friend. Emmanuel, you can call in anytime. We have several team members that are available, and or you can go to our website greencardguys.com and answer a few questions, and I'll redirect you to our calendar. But yeah, you can call in too. Let's see. Trying to find that question. Y'all have a lot of questions. Thank you so much. I mean, I welcome them. I'm happy to point you in the right direction. Okay, I think that's it right there. With VAWA, can you go places with parole? In general, as long as you have advanced parole, the 131, if that's what you mean, yes, you can. Can you go places? Yes, you can travel abroad as long as you have the advanced parole that's valid and not expired. Lawyers, we just have to be like super clear. So that's why sometimes my answers are quite long. Let's see. I have to ask a team member what's her main line for Instagram, social media. Let's see here. A meme. It has to be full time. So I can't remember right now if 32 hours is enough for full time, but you might want to call in or search that. Okay, I'm sure you could find it. I'm sure it's got to be online somewhere. 32 hours? Yeah, I might be cutting it close. What is considered full time? Do y'all know? I think it's below 40, right? Can 30 do y'all know if 30 Department of Labor? Let me see if Department of Labor what they define full-time position. Let me see if we can find that for you. I might not be able to find it though in this quick manner. Full time. I mean, our default is thinking 40, but you got 32. So let's see. Let's see if I can find that. Yeah, I don't think I pulled it off. Find it that quickly right now. Hmm. Okay, your mom is a green card holder. Does oh shoot, missed it. Okay, I think I know the number. Let me type it in. Okay. Let's see. Hopefully that works, Emmanuel. Doesn't work. I'm sorry. Then DM us. All right. The person, it's a YouTuber. YouTuber, if you ask this question, a meme, if you send us a DM, I don't know how you can do that on YouTube, but if you send us a DM on Instagram or TikTok about this 40-hour question, we'll check the Department of Labor definition of this and let you know. Okay. Yeah, if we can work less hours, the better, right? That would be nice. But I know clients don't expect me to work less hours. So I can't do that. I wish I could do that, but I can't. Let's see. Anyways, your mom is a green card holder. Does she still have to live in US 6 months out of a year? Yes, she does. I know it's weird, right? You sponsor your parents and they finally get the resident status and they're like turn around the next day, like, yo, I'm glad I have this resident card, but I'm gonna dip out. And you're like, what the hell? Like, yo, I thought you're gonna yo, I thought you're gonna help me with my kid. That's usually the information I get from clients. And so clients ask, well, what can I do? How can I preserve their eligibility to get, become citizen if they want to? Um, some people don't, depending on the country nationality. But yes, 6 months, 6 calendar months. It does not have to be consecutive. Okay. In addition, the second tip for you, for your mom or parent not wanting to be in the U.S. that long, is if there's an inkling that the travel outside U.S. could be at least 3 months or more. Of course, the law is 6 months or more outside. Then you definitely need to apply for reentry permit 131. But I just think with the pandemic before and whatnot, you just never know what can happen. Or people say like, "Yeah, I said 3 months to you, daughter, but sorry, I can't help out your kids. I gotta stay here, out here for like another 3 months." So you don't want your parent to lose the ability to come back in because you probably paid the attorney fees or at least the government fees on behalf of your parent, and you're like, "What the hell just happened?" And it could have been prevented. So great question. Yeah, again, two tips: 6 months out of a calendar year from January to December. Okay, it does not have to be consecutive. If you think it's going to be more than 3 months out abroad, then apply for the reentry permit, and that must be done in the United States. Okay, recommended because of biometrics. Someone asked on TikTok, can a student F1 visa work as a 1099? Um, I'm not sure, to be honest. I don't think it's really about W-2 or 1099. It's more of, from my understanding, it's more about getting permission essentially from CVIS or USCIS. It's not from 1099 versus W-2. If anyone doesn't know, it's really like the worker employee classification, or I guess employment lawyers say not employee. It's either W-2 is employee, the official term, and then 1099 is a tax form for independent contractor. So technically employee or independent contractor, but I don't believe that's an issue with USCIS. Okay. Emmanuel Ado, 45 is pending, almost 2 months, 2.5 months is a good sign. I hope so, but that information is not enough for me to give you like an inkling. What could be a good sign is that if you get an RFE from medical exam and they actually told you to mail it back in, that's a good sign that your interview is more likely to be waived. Because before pandemic or before the last year, typically is this courtesy RFE, and they would ask you to just bring it to the interview. Suraj, you got a pending asylum case, doing EB3, working for sponsor. Any problems because you don't have any underlying status? Um, I don't like to call it a problem, but it is a predicament because you would eventually have to consular process, and a lot of people are informed about this process, pending asylum to EB, but they're missing a step. Okay, they're missing a legal concept. There's two main legal concepts. I'll quickly go through it, but I need to update our YouTube videos about this. Um, and it is and TikTok, of course, can't discriminate against TikTok, but it is that most people assume they usually just talk about unlawful presence. Oh, unlawful presence stopped. It never even occurred because you applied for asylum within the 1 year rule. Okay, that part is covered. But when you file the 485 application, they want to verify have someone maintained their status. So technically, a pending asylum application is not status. It's just literally a pending application. So people get confused, people get frustrated, then we get frustrated because we're really trying to explain it to y'all. But we really we really don't. I get it. People don't want to leave America. I get it. No one's telling you to go back to your country of nationality of which you fled. You can have what we call TCN, third country national, go to another country. But of course, before you do that, you got to pick that country consular embassy beforehand, well in advance, so that we can notify USCIS when you file the I-140. So to get a lot of things, and if you picked the wrong country or whatnot, then you have to apply for another form. I think it's the 824 to move it around, which is an extra cost. So that's a short version of my explanation on that. My thought on expedite. Well, what application did you file? Your husband had an aneurysm. I'm so sorry to hear that. And it's very hard for sure. I would not doubt that at all, the difficulty of that. So more power to you. But what did you file? I-130 or because I-130 in 765 and I-131 and also the NVC stage are the only applications or scenarios that I understand without going to the specific reasoning that USCIS will accept expedite. But if someone's asking about expedite 45, that technically wouldn't matter in this situation. Or at least that's USCIS perspective because that person's already here, right, in the US, unless you needed that status to do XYZ, right? So, but also, folks, keep in mind, especially with USCIS, they're more likely to decline or deny your request for expedite. Or they'll look at it. Okay, I don't want to say accept, but they'll look at it. But they could quickly say like, "Oh, that doesn't qualify." They could tell you that on the phone, or you could. There's no like submission form. You could do a website chat and try that because if you call in, y'all could be on the phone for like 30 minutes. It's frustrating, but that's what we do for y'all, for clients, of course. So hopefully that helps answer your question. We do have a free guide related to expedite request. It does have the list of categories of reasons. So again, I'm not here to tell someone to say don't try, but there's minimum number type of applications that USCIS will accept the expedite request reasoning. Okay. And unfortunately, a person being pregnant, beneficiary being pregnant, or the petitioner being pregnant by itself has not been enough. We've tried it. It's not enough. But if there's complications from the pregnancy, that has worked for us. Of course, we don't wish that on anyone, but if that happens, then you might as well use that information, that fact, in your benefit for your immigration case, depending on what you're trying to get request. Can you have a free quote? Yeah, I mean, what our CARES team does is after you complete a few questions on our website, our form on the contact us page, you can essentially what our CARES team does is they qualify you to see if you're qualified for our services. We don't, believe it or not, we're different than many law firms. We don't accept every single request for someone who wants to be a client. I mean, one example is someone I think earlier asked about asylum cases. We don't accept asylum cases anymore. We just shifted gears on our law firm. Okay, so I apologize. I wish we could, but just capacity wise, we refer out to a couple different lawyers. But one of them, he's on TikTok and YouTube as well. I'm sure he's got an Instagram account, but it's Brian Manning. He has an asylum law firm, political asylum lawyer.com, I believe. Check him out. And he used to work for State Department and also as a USCIS asylum officer before. But of course, do your due diligence. As any lawyer, whether it's immigration or something else, or any vendor, even plumber, you need to verify them, check their reviews, have a conversation, ask some questions that you're going to ask other lawyers. All right, so you can feel more comfortable. So good luck to you all on that. Let's see. I'm looking at TikTok now. Man, how do y'all copy and paste questions that quickly? If I thank you so much for asking a question, but if we don't intend to skip anyone, but it's just usually I don't pin the comments. My team member does, Maria. So shout out to Maria. Thanks for your help. Let's see here. By the way, where are y'all watching from? Today's Wednesday. Keeping track here. Okay. Consular processing initial application. You're saying it's taking too long, and spouse moved to America, I guess, and now AOS now. It's not a complete question, but I think I understand what you're trying to say. Oh, can a spouse move? Okay, so you're not here yet. So we just try to fit in as many characters as possible. Um yes, it's possible, but does your spouse have a visitor visa right now? And I'm not trying to tell anyone to overstay their visa, but I think everyone knows a lot of people do this already, which is what is kind of interesting about politics. Conservatives always talk about people who enter America illegally, but no one's talked about people who overstayed. Isn't that interesting? But whatever. But we do have a lot of clients where we've been able to successfully help obtain residency with AOS, adjustment of status, even if they already started the petition, filed a petition. But you have to have a valid visitor visa. If you don't, not going to stop you to apply for DS 160 online. We don't help with that because it's really straightforward on application. We will come up with a workshop in terms of watching out for red flags or being prepared for ABC situation. But if your spouse doesn't already have it, you're likely going to get denied. We actually had a client that we helped after the fact to file for status, consular processing, and they had told us that he filed for visitor visa application, not once, not twice, but 3 times on their own and got denied. And they didn't understand. They thought that was the normal course of action. So that is why, of course, between immigration lawyers, we know that's not appropriate after you're married. Okay. So if you don't know what to do in general, please speak to an immigration lawyer. Does not have to be me. Does not have to be TLG. It would be our pleasure to assist you, but don't make assumptions about what to do. I mean, I know you're not assuming, you're reading online and whatnot, but I guess don't assume what you read online is enough. Like, yes, USCIS does a fairly good job of instructions. It has a lot of different scenarios, so they try to cover it, but it's not that thorough technically to know, for example, like, what do I need to file for AOS? They don't have a list just for that. So I hope that helps. That's not really what you asked, I think, but can you expedite VAWA? No, you cannot. I wish that was the case, but you cannot. We have been able to expedite the 765 and the 131, but it's very, very specific situations. And unfortunately, just saying you've been waiting too long is not enough. So, is it easier to apply for a girlfriend as fiance or wait till we get married? She's in the UK. So you can get married, right? So you can get married. I mean, I recommend you get married if you're wondering which one's better in terms of timing. In terms of fees, I would say it's probably about the same. Actually, I think it's a little bit less. I don't have the apples to apples like numbers right now with me, but in terms of timing, it's better to do the marriage route. Okay. Now, S7 MUK, MUQ, um, as I mentioned to a person before, you want to consider if your girlfriend has a visitor visa already. You say UK, so maybe she has ESTA or can apply for ESTA. Okay. Good luck. Filmmaker New York, more power to you for your industry because I know it's difficult. I heard that. Can you go any place in the world? Sure, in general, you can, as long as you haven't filed for asylum or withholding removal, the 589 form, but it doesn't appear that way if you file for VAWA. And unexpired parole if you have that. Okay, good luck to you. If Canadian husband overstays 180 days here, can our I-130 be denied? If Castle of Equality, I like your name. If you're a U.S. citizen, then no, it will not be denied. I-130, even though it does mention something about marriage evidence, the bulk of it, the main point of it is to make sure that you both are legally married, meaning, yes, obviously you got a marriage certificate on file recorded to that county, wherever you live, but also that if you were married before, that you were divorced and you have a divorce order. So that kind of gives you an idea. But and it should be C9. Did you put C19 on accident? Let's see here. Let me pin this other comment since it's right in my face. I mean, in front of me. It said you say I-130 form will have a decision in a week. That's what it said online. But it's been more than a week. As you say, I think it's been more than 6 weeks. Is that a bad sign? No, it's not a bad sign. It's just a bad sign that USCIS is like misleading y'all. You know, they're ridiculous. Why would they say it's going to take a week, but it's really not? So I've spoken every time I call in to a USCIS after I complete what I need to get done. I just politely ask them, "Hey, by the way, like we've had clients tell us about this thing online because it does show on our end on our account, but it shows on y'all's." And I asked them, like, "Is this accurate?" And they always say no because they get a lot of calls, right? If you see 6 weeks and it said 1 week, some people have been calling USCIS and they're frustrated, right? What and they're probably thinking, well, I'm just there's no point in calling about this, okay? Just to let y'all know. Because yeah, you can't this different I mean it's different than a lawsuit. It's been if it's like 24 months, for example, or depending on your application, then sure you can sue them, but you can't do that if it's not required by law for them to say like, oh, 1 week or something. So I don't know why they do that. It's quite surprising and really useless data point. I mean, it's just not even a data point. It's fake. It's like a placeholder for no reason. Uh, you're welcome. Okay, I see a comment pop up on Instagram. Thanks for your questions. Ali Grand, you've called our office and you explained your case, but they haven't replied back since then. Okay, can you send us a DM, Ali Legrand on Instagram? Because of course I don't know if that's your actual name on our application. Or I mean our form, our database. So I want to make sure we can touch base. But because we've been a little slower, I apologize, folks. We've noticed we've been very fortunate. Y'all trust us, and I want to continue gaining your trust. But we've been a little slower because of holidays. So if we haven't replied to you in general, but Ali, I don't know how long ago you've requested our assistance. So, but we'll get to you. I'm pointing this way, but my Instagram screen is over there. All right. Keep the questions coming. I'll be on for like 5 more minutes, I believe. Then I have a team meeting, maybe less than that. But I really should answer Tony's question here. Best gift I got for Christmas this year. It's gonna be a little cheesy, but my health. My best gift is really for myself and looking out for my health. and just going to the gym 3 times a week, really. So just creating a new habits for myself. I thought I had good habits to begin with for a long time. I'm pretty good at setting goals, but in terms of like thinking about my own health, if you've been following me on TikTok, I sometimes I post about that, like me walking out of a gym. So if you're gonna go to a gym, yeah, I'm not coughing anymore. So maybe going to the gym helped. But yeah, if you're having a bad day, folks, sometimes just go and do some exercise, even if you don't have a gym membership. Just doing a quick like 10 to 20 push-ups, or I don't know, something I'm gonna call it silly, but like jumping jacks or rope jumping, like as it was like grade school, that can kind of like just get you some energy there. So maybe I should create another channel about this stuff. Nah, that'd be bad. All right, so let me focus on this. Thanks for asking, Tony. But really, it was really us focusing on the. Oh, my son will love Spider Man right now. He's 2.5. He loves Spider Man. He, do your kids do that like web thing action? Anyways, just call me Lexi. Ask you had a citizenship interview. Haven't gotten an update, but it's been 7 months now. GC is expiring. Help! Y'all are funny. Y'all calling out for me to help. Let's see how I can help. You haven't gotten how long? You say 7 months since your interview? So 180 days, which has been the case for you. That's 6 months. If 180 was 100, actually. Let me check the policy manual real quick. I have this in our system. Okay, let me check. I think it's 120. Let me just double check real quick for you. I think it's 120. I want to check how soon you can file a lawsuit, because N400, they actually encourage you to file a lawsuit after X amount of time. And I just want to make sure it's either 120 or 180 days. Surprised I lost track of that for a second. Here we go. We have a chart. 120 days. 120 days. So, in fact, the government attorneys don't question this at all. If they see this, we usually get a response quicker than other cases, especially 221G. People are stuck abroad with admin processing, even though it says visa refused. It's a very frustrating situation. But folks that like this, I can't remember your name, but pending 7 months for N400, don't wait. It's time to sue. Because some people think that, oh, my application has been pending. Oh, that's right, Lexi, pending for X months. And you think, oh, it's just so close. I really think USCIS or State Department's going to get me what I need, decision or visa next week or next month. That's likely not the case, because they don't give any indication to lead you one way or the other than it just says interview scheduled, which is what you already completed 7 months ago for you, right? So it's very unfortunate, but don't assume the government agency is going to give you a decision or visa within X time. It's very unfortunate, but I hope you don't have to sue. But I know a lot of people are delayed for no reason. The U.S. attorneys always want to say that it's not been long enough, but it shouldn't be that way. It's ridiculous. Hey, Tony, by the way, what did you get for Christmas? Thanks for asking me, but what did you get? Oh, what did y'all get for Christmas? Anything y'all want to share? And by the way, Ali on Instagram, I'm going to message my team about your request. All right. Man, I've got way too many tabs open. I got to, there we go. Slide that down. Hopefully they can find your your form or your answers there. Okay, Allie? Okay, I'm going to answer two more questions. Can you travel while you're under admin processing? Yeah, we've known people that travel inside to the United States if they have a visitor visa and maybe you're waiting for a different visa. That's happened. Um, that's You're not violating anything by doing that. So thanks for asking though. Let's see. Sadiq, thanks so much for the roses. I really appreciate you. That's very generous. I honestly don't know what to do with the roses, but I really appreciate you. Let's see. Let me get. Aha, yeah. Tonya got a new watch. Nice. I got the Apple Watch, but I really don't use it. I'm not really a watch person. Got some peace and quiet because the wife is visiting her family in Asia. Nice. Congrats to you. My wife's not here, so I can say that. All right, so let's see. One more question for now. Okay, Maria, that is exactly the one I was going to pick. Your husband's 45 was denied. He has no record, just a regular person. And unfortunately, a lot of regular people, civilians, have issues with immigration, unfortunately. Or, I mean, USCIS has issues with them. Why was it denied? Do you know? Still waiting for a letter. Okay, so it sounds like you just got the online notification, maybe on your My USCIS account. So typically, every time a client lets us know they got a notification, it seems like they might get it the next day by mail. And it's strange, but especially if you have an attorney, you might be wondering, hey, attorney, how come you didn't let me know about this? Don't give your attorney a hard time. Don't give us a hard time. Typically, for some reason, USCIS mails it to the applicant first. Well, it's just weird because it's not like I would think they mail it off literally the same day, but then for some reason, for one reason or another, the client gets it first, like one day before. It's quite strange. I don't know how that is the case because I would think that they're not literally waiting one day and then mailing to attorney the next day. But we're happy to take a look for you to check because you say he's a regular civilian. Um, okay, but if you didn't hear it before, if you're just now joining, welcome to GreenCardGuys.tv. My name is John Ting. I practice immigration law in Houston, Texas. We're not virtual attorneys. We have an office. Okay, I do allow my team to work remotely, but we do have a physical office in Houston, Texas. So I don't consider ourselves virtual lawyers or anything. We believe in meeting people in person if you would like to. Now, of course, we're happy to help you if you live in a different state or abroad. Just as always, immigration attorneys have been able to help y'all. And by the way, USCIS made the rules flexible during the pandemic, so you can upload your signatures. You don't have to like mail us the wet signature. Um, let's see here. So, and I do go live Monday through Friday. Typically, there will be a couple days I will be out, especially coming up in the first couple weeks of January because of court hearings and whatnot. But stay tuned. Let's see. Okay, I'll answer one more question. Okay, Sadiq got my attention. You have I thought I answered your other question, but maybe it was someone else. Sadiq, your visa is it mystery processing? What do you mean? What kind of visa? Who's sponsoring you? 2 months ago, and you apply with your family. Okay, so maybe it's like your uncle or your aunt filed for your mom or dad. Okay, so yeah, I mean something to look out for. Maybe you've already done this, or your parents did. Is filling out and responding to a DS 5535. Oh, B1 B2. That's it. You got admin processing for a visitor visa. Well, that's frustrating. But maybe one of your family members got asked to fill out DS 5535, and that's typically what people need to fill out. Now, if we didn't receive that, but you're in admin processing, that's not a bad thing. It's it's typically a default. People are put into admin processing, but just by looking at your name, you might be in your interview. Your application may have been in one of those countries in the Middle East that unfortunately U.S. government tends to delay people on purpose. Okay, and it's very unfortunate. What they always claim is for national security. They always want to check. check, national security. But then we're all wondering, are they really doing that? Like, why does it take so long? Like, I get like a couple months, and you would think that they would um, they would just let me Ali on Instagram. Let me copy this real quick for the team. Okay, there we go. Thank you so much, Ali. Let's see, or Ali. Did I answer your question? I think I did. Okay, on TikTok, Sadiq. Basically, you need to. I would just hold out tight. Okay, check it every couple weeks. I wouldn't go crazy. Oh, you changed. Oh, that's someone else. Okay, I'll ask. I'll answer one. I'll ask two more questions. Okay, love answering questions. Man, I missed y'all. It's been a couple days because of Christmas. I try to, I'm trying to go live at night every once in a while, but every time I try, I fall asleep. Can't get up. All right, so let me ask this question. Sadiq, thank you for so much for your roses again. And let me pin this comment. You changed your visa from B2 to F1. You already have approval. You didn't do biometrics. I assume you have a follow-up question somewhere? Well, I see a copy and paste of what you just said. By the way, folks, yeah, if I don't, should I get a visa? So you can't. So Ian, I think if that's your name, is that flag the Philippines? You can't get the. So even though you sounds like I think you said you got approved, you can't get the actual physical visa in the U.S. You still have to go abroad eventually when you travel. So I would plan it to where you're traveling abroad to visit family anyway, eventually to pick up the visa. But it's not that easy. You can't just like go to the embassy and just pick it up anytime you want. You got to apply for a DS-160 online. Okay, and then go from there. Okay, we're going to put together, organize a workshop, basically like a seminar to help y'all out. It'll be through our sister company. Okay, not through the law firm, because we don't assist with these cases as direct representation, like visitor visa. People want to learn more about J1, basically all the other type of visa that we talk about, but we don't represent people on it, just because I honestly don't think it requires X fee to be charged. Some law firms charge it. I get it, because if you need the help, but we're going to create as a workshop about visitor visa, whatnot, and student visa, so you understand more about it, and maybe even humanitarian parole. So we'll keep you updated. All right, so Tom, well, this is pretty important. All of y'all questions are important. Tom's got a situation. Can you withdraw your I-130 after knowing petitioner had hidden DT? I don't know what DT means. A different address and cheating. So technically, you cannot withdraw it if you're the beneficiary, because you did not sign the I-130. That's interesting. Is it only the I-130, or did you have 45 that you signed? Okay. That's interesting. If it's I-130 only, I don't think. You could try. You could just say you want to withdraw it, but technically, it's not. I'm sure they would accept it to withdraw it, but that is different, because you didn't sign the I-130. Okay, let's see. So, for Bruno, okay, I'm sorry, this is going to be the last question. I got to get to a team meeting. They're waiting on me. So, Bruno, Happy New Year in advance. Happy New Year to you, Bruno, and everyone else. What's my advice for affirmative application? I'm assuming you mean 589 asylum application, and no interview yet. It's been 7 months for you. So expect it to take several years, unfortunately. You might get it sooner, because I remember there was a time early this year or last year that they were it's like as soon as people apply, like people were getting interviewed like within a month or two. But from what I last saw, um, it went back to the old rule where it's they're trying to interview people who are like the older cases, right? And then Trump changed it and screwed it up for everyone. So but we've been filing lawsuits, mandamus lawsuit, for people who are waiting for an interview after applying 589 application, minimum of 4 years. And as soon as we file that lawsuit, typically they get the interview in like 2 to 3 months on average. So that's a good thing. But I don't recommend filing a lawsuit unless it's you've been waiting for 4 years or more, unfortunately for you. Okay. Good luck, Bruno. You're not the only one. A lot of people want, of course, everyone has talked to us, have told us of course, their claim is strong, but the USCIS, US government agency standard policy, the law is very difficult to win asylum, but it happens. I don't know what it is, but got some magic dust here, and people are quite happy, especially when. But the key ingredient here, folks, is not just the mandamus. That helps you get the interview, for example, or maybe you had the interview, but you're waiting for decision. Mandamus lawsuit can help with that as well. But the key ingredient is having an asylum attorney to prepare you and be there in person or remotely for the interview, because it's more likely, I would think, an asylum interview that they're going to give you more trouble. Or sometimes I remember someone told me that the asylum office had like internet issues or computer issues, and it just didn't, even though it had nothing to do with the law, it was just like literally practically the computer systems, and that just didn't it just didn't give a good vibe to anyone. I mean, if you're a government, or if you're any work for anywhere, you'd be frustrated about systems down and you just want to get the interview going, right? So I'm sure the officer was not in a good frame of mind. Okay, so hopefully, just random tips to share with you. But yeah, if you're in a situation like that, ask to be rescheduled, because you want an officer that's in a good frame of mind. All right. All right, folks. Thanks so much. I really appreciate it. And we should be seeing you tomorrow. Okay. Stay tuned. Have a good day. And by the way, don't forget to join the club. If you're on Facebook, go to teamlawclub.com. Take care.